And so it's just flip, Phil. It's just more about doing the right things and having a plan as to who you want to be
in life
and in those networks and social media, and how that fits together, and how the school you're at, Riverside now, how that fits. It's a high academics institution. It's in the Big West. It's on the West Coast. You're a SoCal guy. You're a, business major. You're this. How does all this work together to help you in 10 years? So that's what we talk about more. We do talk about, obviously, the things not to do, the things that you and I probably did too much, and all that stuff. That we didn't have cell phones. We had Polaroid cameras. So you weren't getting us on Friday and Saturday nights. We were hiding.
Absolutely. Well, you just said it, and that's kind of where I think the interesting opportunity exists. That I'm at the coaching ranks, and in the coaching ranks, it gets talked about, I'm sure, with you guys, and I've had plenty of conversations. Not so much when you talk about media and publicly. People focus on the high profile people, obviously the NBA, but individuals that have no future professional career that is going to change their life, meaning that maybe they are going to play a few years professionally, but it's not the kind of money that's going to lead to nest eggs and retirements in, playing in, a foreign country for, $50,000 or $60,000, for a season or whatever. But their earning potential and their brand building potential, and how that leads them right into a professional career when they are probably at their most marketable, right? Because they're still a collegiate athlete that people admire and respect the work and the grind that it takes to do both. And expanding the thinking beyond singular focus of being great in the game and figuring out how to turn that into a business is the opposite of how we were taught when we were playing, right? It was don't focus on the game and school and nothing else, but you're getting an opportunity to say, right now is potentially my greatest earning potential with the brand as far as sports and the impact it can have on my life and business. And instead of just carrying it forward, I can actually build a business plan that's going to carry this value into my future. That is a huge lift for those that have no professional future, right? And that, to me, super intriguing to start having those conversations with guys and have them figure out, weird to say, you're 18, you're 19, you're 20 years old. You're kind of in your quote unquote prime potential to build a brand for the next 20 years if you learn how to capitalize on it right now.
Yeah, the best thing that happened to me when it comes to this now, and I think that's what you talked about, going back to maybe our first part of this conversation, moving all the different spots you go and being around all these different leaders. Well, when you're at a University of Arkansas and NIL just starts, but then you're coaching, the number one player in the country, and Nick Smith and Anthony Black, and you're around Jordan Walsh and Jalen Williams, who's playing the NBA championships tonight. Every decision they make are so important for what's going to happen in June. And to your point, it's so imperative that you really think through all these things. And when you're around those type, you're totally changing your mindset of how they look at every piece of it. And that was really good for me to be around that. And I think it helps me now not look at it like this is a bad thing. This is a negative. Coach Muss always hit it straight up. Hey, in this locker room, not everybody makes the same amount of money. That's the normal in the business world. Not everybody has the same amount of shots. This is the new world but to be able to manage it, it helped to be at an Arkansas and Nevada where you're around, and Nevada didn't have NIL then, but just the amount of, I guess you would say, star players and the level that you're at, being able to help in a locker room, be able to help, like you said, just the mindset for everybody of how do we manage all of this to get where we want to go. Like you said, it's just totally changed, but I wouldn't have that unless I had been around those type of players and seen how they approached their brands at a young age, at 19, or they're 18, 19. They're not legally able to drink, right? Yep. And they're literally dealing with all these things. But there's also, it comes back to the one part of it. At the end of it too, we also can help them in so many ways, because there are things they just don't know because they're not 40 something years old, and this is not in their best interest, right? You can help them with that, even though you're not the person that maybe has had that star potential, but you can help guide them. And it's fun for me. I look at, just like you said, I look at some of the the guys that we have coming in this year and the brands that they've actually created that they do in their own time, businesses on the side and things that they've done, it's pretty amazing. They're just, you can be such a, not that you couldn't before be such a more well-rounded person, but it's a different way of doing it, right? And you can have your hand in a lot of different things. But the one thing that you can't do is lose the main focus, which is being, if you want to be great at this, be dialed into being a hooper and wanting to be really good at that, right? Along with getting your degree done and graduating, because kids transfer so much now that they lose units. It's getting harder and harder to graduate from college because of the amount of change that's going on, and if they're not,
it's such a good point, because that's where I was going to go next, is that, the opportunities are huge, right? And you go and like, I'm sure you've experienced the same thing, although you've been in the coaching world. My entire business career, my background as an athlete, basketball, baseball, who I played for, has opened doors just through conversations with being able to talk about things that people are more interested in talking about, people, thinking about what it would have taken to achieve that. But it was never intertwined into an entire brand and a strategy to make money in all different aspects. And that opportunity to do that for kids at this level, and the thinking, opens doors to all sorts of massive upside, from their career. But learning how to do that at a young age also leads to, the potential distraction. If you're not great at the thing that is actually your brand, then it's not going to really do anything for you.